Are you running on idle? I mean, is your job to the point that you're still doing it, you still know how to do it, you're still getting the respect, you're still getting the paycheck, but you're just quit growing? And you feel like you're stuck in a traffic jam, you've got all this horsepower under the hood, but you can't really go anywhere. That's something I am finding a lot of people that are explaining to me right now is I mean, I'll just tell you one. A guy just the other day, sharp, experienced guy. He says I used to feel stretched. I'm just reading his words. I used to feel stretched. Now I feel like I am done growing. Same job, same respect, same everything. So I call this running on idle. That's just what I know. No other good way to describe what's going on here is the engine is working. There's fuel in the tank, but there's not anywhere to go. I can press gas, but it's not going to help me that. And this messes with people because nothing is really wrong. And we use the term burnout a lot. We use the term, well, burnout is the one I'm seeing so much. And it's not really that. It's not quiet quitting. It's not burnout. It's not any of these things. And that's what we want to talk through today is this running on idle. So this is the Company of One podcast. I'm Dale Callahan. So this is not career advice. What we're doing here is we're not career coaching or career advice. We're talking about ownership. That's something for the last many, many years I've been teaching in our graduate program is ownership, owning your direction, owning your income, and owning what comes next. And here is the problem right now today is the what comes next when you're running on idle. So if you're fine on paper, if you're sitting there thinking everything looks great, I have a great title, great job, great benefits, all the great things here, but I'm just wondering what it's all adding up to, you're in the right place. And that's specifically what we're going to talk about today. So let's kind of frame this, though. Let's frame what's going on. In this episode, I'm not talking about quitting your job. I mean, I've helped a lot of people over the years quit their jobs, start their businesses, get new jobs. And this is not what we're talking about. It's something that's quieter. It's a quiet conversation I'm seeing going on over and over on social media and just everywhere these days. I'm hearing a lot of it. It's a different conversation than what I've been hearing in this running on idle. What happens when you're when it's kind of what happens when you have done what you are supposed to do. You kept saying yes, you kept doing your job, you kept delivering. One day you just wake up and you realize, well, the challenge is gone. You're still showing up. Everybody still respects you, but you don't have any energy. You have run out of energy. And it's not that you're not fed. It's not that there's not any, it's not that you're tired and worn out. This isn't even a issue of age. A lot of people will say, well, people get tired and they get bored and that's when they start to retire. I've seen this happen to people in their 20s. It's happened to me in college, so I guess I was in my 20s. I don't know. Your 20s, your 30s, 40s. I've seen this happen all the time. So, I mean, kind of to put this in a story of outgrowing the container, right? This is the part that most people do talk about, or they don't talk about, is you kind of outgrow a role. A role, I mean, inside of a company long before you're tired of it, long before, it used to be that the work had shaped you, sharpened you, it challenged you, you were learning new things, you were interacting with new people, and now what's happening is the work just fills time. You know what to do. The problems get repeated. It's like a loop. What are those movies where you just continually there's several of them that you continually have. Groundhog Day is one of them. It's like you wake up and it's the same scenario every day. And it's not that any of it's a challenge. You know what to do, just like they did in Groundhog Day, right? Because you know exactly what's going to happen. You know the reaction people will happen. So, if this sounds familiar, that's if you feel like you're living in Groundhog Day, uh, it's because you're still capable of learning and growing and doing new things. You're probably still being paid. You're still trusted in your job. People still come to you. People still give you the same kind of things, um, and you probably feel even guilty. I mean, most of the people I work with, they're over 100,000. Many of them, some of them are into the seven figures, and they will have this issue, and they kind of have this stagnation, and they feel guilty. You're like, because I mean, realistically, we know we're blessed. We're looking around and we're like, we make a lot of money. We're not really having to kill ourselves for our work. We may be challenged in time wise, but we're not challenged at work. Uh, and it, and we got this great salary, got this great title, got this great respect, and I feel guilty for thinking something's wrong here. But it's stagnation with momentum that feels, but stagnation with momentum still feels like stagnation, right? If I'm stagnant, but I'm still in motion, I mean, it's like running around in a circle, right? And that's kind of what I'm seeing so often. And one of the characteristics of this, or one of the things I see, is people reach the top of where they can or they want to go in an organization. I've worked with a lot of people, and they're right below the CEO. The CEO is not retiring. Maybe it's owned by the CEO company. I've seen a lot of that. Or you're up into the executive ranks where there's just not a lot of places to go. But some people are also at the top of a technical rank, so there may be lots of places to go in the organization, but nowhere they want to go. I was talking to a guy the other day. He says, I was offered all these promotions into management leadership, but I wanted to stay in my technical role. But he's at the top, and he can see right now he doesn't want to be over there doing that other stuff. He has no desire to do it, but he also is seeing, I just set myself up for no growth. Not because the company doesn't want him to grow, it's just that the company has nowhere to grow. He's at the top of his skill set, and no opportunity to grow it. So here's a line from Peter Drucker, the management consultant. I think back in the 80s. And it comes to me often. The greatest danger in times of turbulence, it's not the turbulence. It is that we act with yesterday's logic. Right? So most people don't get stuck because they're lazy. That's not what's going on here. It's not that we are lazy. They're stuck because the logic that built their success, going with Peter Drucker's words, it no longer creates growth. It used to be these things that you did, the kind of things you went to, the meetings you went to, the things you went to meet new people and new growth. It's the same people. Again, it's Groundhog Day. So that's what I'm seeing here in this, and kind of put this in another story format for you. Another conversation, if you will, that I've had is the guy said, "I'm retired in place." We hear this RIP, retired in place. Not usually a term that of endearment. It's usually somewhat of an insult. Somebody has quit working, but we're still paying them. But here's the conversation, and that's what he said to me. He said, "I'm retired in place." He's a different person, different industry, and he says, "I feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what." It's like I'm half retired while still working full time. Now, in the conversation, by the way, these are not things that people say out in public. I don't have corporate officers or leaders coming to me when they're in public, when they're on their job. They look like they're playing the part. They look active. They look in control. and they are, but they're not going to say these things out loud, right? You know, you always, what do we say now? The quiet thing, or the things, the unsaid thing. These are things they say in private and confident, in moments of fatigue, and moments of unknown, right? And this is what so he wouldn't say this on his job, not this guy. To say I'm half retired, we're still working full time, it would be, well, it just wouldn't be good. But when he said it, it kind of stopped me, because it's the retired in place. We always think about that as, and we usually see that when somebody is about to exit a company, right? Maybe through retirement or through some other thing. Sometimes in the university we call this senioritis. When somebody becomes a senior student, they're checked out, right? Whether it's in high school or college, whatever, they're checked out. They're done. Mentally, they're done. And a lot of people in the corporate world, mentally, they're done. But this is not the same thing. This is not checked out, or it's not coasting. This is no longer invested in where the road leads. Where this thing is going, I'm not there. And it has nothing to do with age again. And like, I think I was a junior at the university in electrical engineering when I first sensed this. There was nothing wrong that was going on. I was doing okay academically. I could get it. You know how to go to class. You know how to get grades. Not a big deal. I saw that there were jobs out there, but I was just thinking. I mean, it's weird to be in college and think there's nowhere to grow here. I had not even had an engineering career, and I was feeling this. And part of the reason, because I had been involved in entrepreneurial activities, and I just was sensing this. I see a lot of people that have come through our graduate program over the years, of all ages, that are stuck in this weird thing, and that where they're just on, they're in idle mode. They're running on idle. So it has so much to do with the direction, right? With the direction of the company, with the direction of the organization. And the guy's case right now is what I'm talking about. The direction of the organization. It wasn't that it was bad. It wasn't that he was against it. It was just, there's nowhere for me to go here. The turn we have taken, they value me, but there's nothing for me to grow. This is all that we're going to do, and I've done it 700 times. So it's this quiet conflict and this tension that I'd say rarely gets named, that we're not unhappy enough to leave, but you're not engaged enough to grow. Do you feel that? I'm not unhappy enough to leave and say, I got to get out of here, but I'm just not engaged. I want to be excited. I might even sign up and get engaged in things, but I just can't fake it. So you hover. You're running in idle mode, right? You keep showing up, you keep performing, the days stack up. James Clear, in his book, the author of The Atomic Habit, says every action you take is a vote for the person you wish to become. Right? So there's conflict. I mean, we know that, we sense that, and there's conflict here. And the conflict isn't me conflicting with another employee, another boss, somebody in the organization, customers. The conflict is in here. Most people don't even realize that they're voting against growth. They don't see it. You're voting against growth because you're standing still and your days are just burning and burning and nothing is happening. So when I look and I follow a lot of the things on LinkedIn, I see a lot of these coaches, consultants, management advisors, leadership advisors, and you see a lot of advice, right? And you see the word burnout. You see the word burnout a whole bunch, but it's generic. We're not, we don't necessarily need motivation. A lot of these things is, hoorah, motivation kind of things. We don't need a new resume. We don't need another framework, please. Please don't give me another framework. We're not even confused. I mean, we're confused about where to go, but we're not confused about what's going on. We're just conflicted internally. And the conflict doesn't get resolved with a bunch of tips. I spend a decent amount of time every day on social media just because I've made a lot of friends there, and I mean it's a weird place to be. But you see so many things as, hey, here's 7 ways to do this. Here's 7 things, and they're great. They're awesome, but they land flat here. When a tip is not going to solve the problem. And it's so here's the hard reframe that I've noticed is going on is running on idle isn't neutral, right? It costs something. I mean, if you think about running on idle and we're sitting there in traffic and we have all the horsepower there, we are burning up gas, we're burning up time, it costs. So for us running on idle inside the organization, it costs us energy. It does cost us time. It costs us range, the options, right? It costs us, it's what we would typically call in economics opportunity cost. How much longer do we stay here and do this? Seth Godin, the marketing guy, says the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. Now, I see that in business all the time. I see that, especially in smaller business. Well, I see that in all kind of businesses, where they debate, they discuss, they don't do anything for a long time, so they're not taking any action towards something when their competitors and the customers and the market is moving, right? So they take no action, and they should have made some move. What about us? Are we taking no action and we should be moving? Most people kind of reverse this in their heads, though. Instead of saying the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing, they think, well, I should do nothing because I don't want to make a wrong move, and I might stay somewhere. So I had the conversation with another guy the other day that was kind of in the same situation at the top of his organization, kind of feeling like there's nowhere to go. It's not that there wasn't an opportunity, but he probably wasn't going to be in it. And he's sticking around and doing things and seeing himself kind of get passed over. He's seeing some friends get pay raises and getting the perks of growing, and he's not. He and I talked about salary, where he should be on salary. And, he was hundreds of thousands of dollars short of where he should be. Not because of his job title or anything, just because his potential in the market he was in, he was hundreds of thousands of dollars below. And that's not unusual. That's not unusual. And whether it's a money thing, for a lot of us, it's not even a money thing. So we call, but in this, this reframe, we're kind of calling waiting is responsible. And really what it is unexamined momentum. We're running on idle. So what starts movement? Movement usually starts with a sentence you don't say out loud, which is, I don't know what is next. I'm reading a sentence a guy sent me. I don't know what's next, but I know that I'm done. I don't know what's next, but I know that I'm done. In his case, I'm done here. Again, he had no qualms with his organization or his boss or the team he's working with. He had no problem with him. But there's nothing for him to do. He was done. That sentence scares people. Matter of fact, me saying that sentence, does that scare you? I don't know what's next, but I know that I'm done. Does that scare you? It's scary. It's because it puts you in a position of an unknown. And once you admit it, have you admitted it? You can't pretend anymore. And especially if you say this out loud, once you say this to your spouse or somebody, it's there. It's hanging. Everybody knows it. And they're watching what you do. And in many of our cases, we do nothing. We go back to we do nothing. So most people listening to this, if you're listening to this podcast and you've been this far, you kind of recognizing yourself, or you're recognizing somebody, maybe a spouse. Most people will recognize him, and we'll just keep going, right? We're going to just stay the course. We're going to keep going. Busy lives make great hiding places. Somebody quoted to me the other day, busy lives, and boy, do we not have busy lives make great hiding places. But few people will feel something tighten. A few of you are feeling something tighten a little bit. And it's not necessarily stress or panic, but it's awareness. It's awareness. So what I'm really talking about today is just I want you to be aware. It's the awareness of the problem, and you're feeling it. It creates bigger problems if you don't address it. It does get to be retired in place. It does turn into these kind of things. Sometimes it turns into being fired because somebody else has recognized that you're not adding any value, that you're not growing. But you don't need that. You don't need a dramatic exit. You probably you don't need a book. You don't need anything. What we need is a place to think clearly. Working with somebody who won't rush you. The problem I see with a lot of consulting and coaches and things out there is they kind of trying to rush you through a system, but you need some space to think about it. You don't need hype. You don't need a formula. You don't even need a checklist. You're smart enough to figure these things out. You've been there. That's the work I do. I'm just working with people, helping them think through things. And they're business owners a lot of times, but they're executives other times. But they're just people who get to this point and they have so many options and they have so much potential, but they're not real sure what to do with it. They don't need somebody to tell them what to do with it. They need somebody to help them think through it and walk through it with them. So this is what we call ownership thinking, where you get to decide your next steps. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking about it, then that's what I'm asking you to decide. What are your next steps? And by the way, if you're not here, if you're saying, hey, this is not me, maybe you know somebody it is, you will be. It's a natural movement to get here. People grow in corporations, they grow in sports, they grow in hobbies, they grow in all kinds of things, and they get to this point where they're not growing anymore. And there needs to be a shift to keep growing. So before more time slips by and gets unnoticed, if this is stirring something, I just would say to you, pay attention to it. Because if you pay attention to it, that's where the real work is going to start. Talk to you next time.